How's it going, George, CEO of Linkology and other businesses? This is my business and sales fundamental series for YouTube. I want to dive straight into something which has impacted our business in a good and a bad way initially, and that is hiring or promoting the wrong members of staff. Now, take you back to kind of lockdown time, 22, 23, we grew dramatically. And at the time, we were turning over a lot of money. We are now, but like turning over a lot of money and growing very rapidly. And a lot of our team members were asking for headspace. And it's a phrase which I would say you need to look out for, like keep it as a red flag. So, team members specifically asking for more support. Now, normally, that's absolutely fine. I think more so if you're a remote business and you can't see the members of staff, you can't look to sort of pick up when they might need support, have frequent meetings with people. It's much, much harder if you're remote. But at the time when we were turning over a lot of cash, it was very easy for us as business owners just to say, yeah, spend the money, bring whoever you want in the door. But we didn't take the time, because we were earning so much money, didn't take the time to really look at exactly what was going on with the data. Were team members performing properly? What sort of role did we need to bring in rather than just scaling and bringing in more seats of the same people, right? Now, one of the main issues that we found, and actually I realized this afterwards from reading a book by Rand Fishkin, founder of Moz, called Lost and Founder, really, really good book. Specifically talks about promoting people who are good at a job. So, for example, within our business, which is link building, we have teams of outreachers, so people that are actively going out there, building relationships with publishers, making friends with them to try and get them to post content on behalf of our clients for SEO benefit, right? Now, the issue with that is that we assumed just because somebody was good at emailing and negotiating and building relationships, that they would be really good at managing. And that's fundamentally a problem which can happen across any industry. I've got other businesses I own, could easily make the same mistake again. So promoting somebody to a senior managerial position just because they're good at doing the actual work layer. So that was a massive mistake. We promoted 2 or 3 people into management during that busy time because we needed more support. And actually, they were horrible at managing people. They couldn't hold people to account. They couldn't train. They weren't very good at kind of any form of conflict within the team. Yeah, it was a really, really bad decision. And actually, it impacted our day-to-day business because we didn't then have their resource doing what they were really good at initially. They were moved into kind of managing pieces around the board. So that was a horrible disaster. The second thing you've got to look at, I think, is really key is how you actually recruit people in the first place. So when you put out a job advert, whether it's content outreach, sales, any of those roles, certainly in today's market, you will get absolutely flooded with applications. So we brought in asking them to do a Loom video as a layer of part of the recruitment process. It was really good, although we had a lot less applications. The people who were applying, one, took the time to actually research us and figure out if they'd be a good fit because they then had to talk about it in the video. And two, you got a really good understanding of how somebody presented on a video call. Because again, if you're a remote business or even going out and seeing people face to face, you need to make sure that they've got those kind of personable skills. They can make eye contact, they can be engaging, they can potentially listen and react well, the presentation. You can also gauge kind of how educated that person is, how they're going to sound on a call. And all of those things are really, really important. So bringing in Looms was critically important as part of our recruitment process. And the third part is once you've got those kind of A players, how you retain them in the first place. And actually, the last thing worth mentioning is poaching is a really good idea. So looking at competitors within your industry, people within similar seats, again, really, really good. We recruited for a head of outreach role recently. It's a really difficult seat to place. And if you just advertise it online, you're going to get literally inundated with hundreds of people. So poaching is a really good one, but obviously that deals with that. The last part, which I mentioned just then, is retaining people. So everyone likes a title. They like to be head of. I personally don't really care that much, but that's because they're in the business. But the title part is important. Retaining people, I think, is important longer term. So bonuses based on performance, team performance, specific products that could be tied to them. So if they're working on a big account or if they're in charge of one specific element of the business, make sure that their bonus is explicitly tied to that. You can also look at things like profit share. That's a really good one. maybe even skin in the game at some point, depending on what your goals are for the business, whether you're going to get rid of it, whether you want to hold on to people longer term. So retention of A players is really, really important. But again, I think you need to be flexible enough to ask people what's the priority for them. So some of my members of staff just want cold hard cash. Others want to earn themselves extra holiday. There's a balance in terms of what the priorities are. But those are the things that I've learned along the way. Incentivizing the right people, making sure that you potentially get the right ones in the first place. Don't promote just because they're good at the role. I think that's it in terms of what you look for. And the last part, I guess, is this softer signals, which officially we can't talk about. So, is that person clocking off dead on 5 o'clock? Are they around later in the evening? Are they responding to internal messages? Again, I understand the importance of work-life balance. I want people to have downtime, but if someone's available to answer a quick call or reply to a client on an email because it's important, or check the Slack channels, like, it can only take a couple of minutes of their time. But for me, it's a really, really big signal for whether or not that person is going to be with you longer term. And if the flood comes, if they've got a seat on Noah's Ark. Anyway, hope that's useful. Bye for now.